video is for week 17, lesson 3. Notice that these directions are the same as they were in lesson 1. Okay, so we're solving. We're trying to find the values of x that make these equations true. We're doing it within one rotation about the unit circle. 0 will not be included, but 2 pi will. All right, now, this lesson very, very heavily depends on how you did on lesson 2. All right, meaning you're going to have to be able to factor each of these in order to solve. All right, so for example number 1 right here, I'm going to factor the left. Okay, it's a trinomial. It does factor. Okay, take a moment or two, see if you can figure out what it factors to be. But it's 2 sine x plus 1 multiplied by sine x minus 2. All right, now, you have solved equations that are in factored form before. If this times this has to equal 0, that means that either one of them equals 0 or the other one does, or maybe both. So on this one, if I subtract 1 from both sides and divide both sides by 2, I'm going to look on the unit circle for places where the sign is -1/2, which happens at 7 pi over 6. It also happens at 11 pi over 6. This one, when I solve for sine of x and I move the 2 to the other side, if I look on the unit circle, I will not find a spot where the sign equals 2. The greatest value that the sign can actually have is 1. So this does not work. Okay, but that's okay. You still have 2 answers for this problem. Okay, so let me move this up. Let's try another one. Okay, so this one, if I want to solve it, I'm going to move everything to one side, meaning I'm going to add this term to both sides of the equation. I'm just going to move it, in other words, so that it equals 0. Okay, now I'm going to factor. This one is going to be factored by GCF. So I'm going to factor out the sine of x, which leaves me with 1 plus cosine of x. All right, now I'm going to set each of them equal to 0. The sine of x equals 0, and 1 plus the cosine of x equals 0. And if I solve, right, I still need to isolate this one a little bit more. I need to move that 1 to the other side. Okay, so now I look on my unit circle, right? I'm thinking about this. Where does the sign equal 0? I'm pretty sure it's here. It's also here. So I'm going to call this one pi. I'm going to call this one 2 pi. I'm not going to call it 0. All right, and then the cosine equals -1 here. Oh, but I've already named that one, didn't I? All right, this one got named over here. You don't need to name it twice. All right, and then scooting this up, let's try this last one. This will be another factoring of a trinomial, which turns out to be 2 cosine of x plus 1 times cosine of x minus 2. I'm going to set each of those equal to 0. I'm going to solve both of them. And this is where I start looking on the unit circle for spots where the cosine of the angle equals -1/2, which happens at 2 pi over 3. It also happens at 4 pi over 3. And I can look and look and look. I am not going to find a cosine value of being 2. The greatest it can be is 1. All right, so again, kind of like before, it is possible to have 2 solutions. You might have 3 unlucky ones. You may even have 4. But anyway, the key is factor and solve.